Hello, everyone. Welcome to VKH Live. How's everybody doing? I'm your host, Jeff DeWitt, and with me is a very special guest returning to the show. Please welcome, press F in the chat to welcome Rubab from FakeStar.
Hello, hi everyone. I'm Rubab from FakeStar. Yay. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, no problem. So, for those of you that aren't familiar with FakeStar, do you want to give like your quick elevator pitch one more time?
Do I have an elevator pitch? I would say we're a promoter, an agent. We represent a lot of talent from Japan, mainly Visual K. Our head office in Japan, FakeStar, also handles Visualog. If you guys are familiar, that's vk.jp. So that's our industry. We mainly deal with music, but we also work with a lot of fashion designers as well, and we go to a lot of conventions around the United States.
Right. Yeah. So Rubab has had like a lot of great input on last streams from like an industry perspective. So definitely encourage you guys to go and check those out if you haven't already. They're on our channel. It'll say Fake Star in the title. So today's topic is going to be how to support your favorite bands and bring them to your area. And so we have Rubab on here to kind of address that. I mean, basically, quite literally from the band's perspective, you know. But so I think what we can go ahead and start with is just, you know, for fans who are curious about like in 2018 for Visual K and maybe J-Rock bands in general, like what is the best kind of support that international fans can give these bands?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like, well, first and foremost, a band is a business. To keep the band going. Excuse me. You know, supporting the band financially is the biggest thing you can do to, you know, keep them going. Buying their releases, buying their merchandise, every little bit helps, especially from overseas. The bands themselves get really excited to know that there are fans overseas supporting them. So I think like making a lot of noise on social media, letting them know you support them from far away, and I think that's like a really, really big impact that you can do. But do what you can to support the band itself by purchasing their releases and their merchandise, especially.
Oh, okay. What would you recommend for people who either maybe they don't have access to like a certain band's merchandise, like they don't have it up on an international store yet, or don't have the money for it? Like what's the best freebie way, I guess, just in that case?
Yeah, I know it gets really expensive, especially getting stuff imported. Shopping services are, you know, an arm and a leg. I would say supporting them online as much as possible, giving them those YouTube views, especially giving them those counts on Spotify if they are on Spotify. If they're not on Spotify, tell them to join Spotify. Like they do really listen, and they read your comments, you know, what you guys tweet at them and everything. So interacting with them as much as possible and giving them those views on stuff like YouTube really does help support the band in the long run, especially for us as a promoter. When we scout a lot of the artists we're looking at, YouTube is definitely one of those things we look for. So if a band tends to have a lot of views on YouTube, that does have a little bit of a sway in you know, how successful that we can foresee them being in the United States, especially. So you know, a lot of the interaction that you guys do put on social media and YouTube and stuff, it does have an impact.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a really good point. You know, that I think a lot of people, it would be easy for them to do. Like, I guess we would say that most bands are on Twitter, right? Like that's their main form of contact.
That tends to be the main thing. Bands are always on Twitter. That's in Japan, especially. It's like a huge, the biggest social media in Japan is Twitter. Of course, for us overseas, it's Facebook. So if they do have a Facebook, that's great. If they don't, then Twitter is definitely the way to contact them and make some noise. But also Instagram's getting up there too.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I want to say that the maybe the average kind of new fan experience or fan experience is you know, they find some kind of a PV or something like that, and they're like, oh my gosh, I love this band. and then they look to see if they're on Spotify or Apple Music or something, and then at that point it's like, oh, they're not. Oh well, you know. So then I think the last step in that could be added, that's really easy, is if everyone gets in the habit of, you get to that point, instead of just giving up, finding them on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and tweeting at them or messaging them and being like, we really like your stuff, put it up on Spotify, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it does help. And someone's commenting, write fan mail. Yeah, you can write fan mail, but I'm lazy. I probably personally wouldn't write fan mail. I would try contacting the email or tweeting at them or something so they can put a face to the name. I feel like that can also be just as personal as that tweeting at somebody as well. Yeah, I would say try those ways. And also, like, I know a lot of Japanese artists aren't on YouTube. They're not on Spotify. A lot of the times that has to do with like the contracts that they have with their labels. And of course, every contract has a period, right? So the more you tell the artist, the more you want them to be on Spotify and other streaming services. It can probably help influence their contracts in the future, and maybe they will be able to change their contracts or revisit that at another point in the future. So I would say don't give up. Keep telling them you want them on Spotify. We also, like, as a company, a lot of the consulting I do with these artists, especially these younger artists coming out, is I do push them, make a Facebook page, make a Spotify account, make sure your music is accessible around the world, because the music industry in Japan is still a little bit behind in where they focus a lot on CD sales. And a lot of these younger artists are realizing that's not going to be the way to go in the next 5 years. So we do consulting with a lot of these artists, and we do encourage them on our end to do that. But as a fan, I think your voice is also really important to make that happen too.
Yeah. I think seeing the way the Gazette like put out their latest PV, it kind of seemed like it was just it kind of seemed partially as a result of that, like, because I know they know that they've been getting like lots of response from overseas, and this time they just got so sick of the copyright stuff, it looks like they just straight up embedded it in the website. And so you don't do that unless like there's people that want to see it and can't see it. And so
didn't it like crash the website at some point?
Oh yeah, they had to like it looked like it was down for maintenance. It looked like they had to just like upgrade their server to handle like more traffic.
It's always a great sign.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it's definitely a good sign. Yeah, so I think that's a good overview of some easy stuff. Some easy ways for fans to support their favorite artists. But I know the really hot topic, right now is I live somewhere and my favorite band hasn't been here. What can I do to get them there? So Winona's joining us now. Yes. Hello, Winona.
I joined.
Yes, you joined. Welcome. Yeah, you came right in time. We just kind of covered like general ways for what the best ways are for fans to support their favorite artists. And now we're going to jump into what needs to happen for a band to show up to, your local area.
Okay. Yes. Are you ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Yes.
All right, so this is actually a very complicated topic. We've been getting a lot of messages from fans saying they loved seeing LMC at TECO. How can we bring LMC back? This was a topic that we had during our panel, especially where, the band is very interested in going overseas again. Some of their experiences so far haven't been so great, but the impression they got from the fans is like, we want you to keep coming back. So they're like, how can we do this? How can we come back to America? And honestly, like, the response I've been giving a lot of fans is your voice means the most. Telling these conventions that you want to see your favorite band, that you want them to bring them, is the biggest thing you can do as a fan to make sure it happens. And there's a lot of different ways in how to do this. There's I guess I would say the most important would be social media. Spam your local conventions, tell them how much you want a specific artist, or you want them to work with a specific promoter to bring out certain artists. That's going to be the key to making sure all of this happens. And we can get into that a little bit later, but I would say social media and email your local conventions especially. And then also at the conclusion of every convention, they start thinking about the next year and what we're going to do for next year. A lot of these conventions will have surveys. That's the best spot to put in exactly what you want to see at your local convention. Those surveys go to the board of directors that run the con. There's always going to be like, you know, the board of directors, this bunch of these people who decide what happens at each convention. And those are the people you need to get, they need to notice what you want. And the reason why that's really important is a lot of these people that run these anime conventions, they're either like huge weebs that don't know anything about music, or they're a bunch of old people that don't know anything about anime or music. So
neither of them know about music.
Really, no, like none of, and I don't mean to like hate on these cons. They're always really great to work with and everything, but that's where a company like mine has a lot of sway because we are the experts in this industry and we listen to what fans want. We are always on top of, you know, the market trends. We're on top of the, you know, what's going on in the industry in Japan. We're really in tune with that kind of thing. So when we propose certain artists to conventions, it's always based on, you know, stuff like what the fans want or what the industry is pushing for and everything. A lot of these convention organizers, they don't really know what's trending in Japan. A lot of them have never actually been to Japan before. So,
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I've never been to Japan, but I don't run a convention.
Yeah.
Right. I'm still like recovering from a cold from the last 2 shows we did, so you have to excuse me.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Yeah, so a lot of the times these con organizers have never been to Japan. They don't really know what's popular in Japan. They don't really know what the fans want, which is why the most important thing you can do as a fan is to tell these conventions what you want. They always turn to the surveys. They always turn to the fan voice first. Sometimes there is a little bit of bureaucracy within the convention where if one person who books the guest is a huge fan of something, they're probably going to try to book that. That happens a lot. But for us as a promoter, we really take into consideration what the fans say. And then a lot of times the conventions will come directly to us and say, hey, our attendees really want this. How can we get this? And that's exactly what happened with Techo. There was a lot of, you know, requests for LMC from within the staff and within the fan base. The attendees requested LMC quite a bit for the last, like, they said the name has been coming up for like at least 5 years now. How can we get LMC? So them being very, you know, close contacts of ours, we were able to pull it through and make it happen for such a small convention. So telling the con organizers, they really don't know what's in tune in Japan, and it's up to you as a fan to teach them. So yeah, like, yeah. Another case in point is another convention we work with. They have been very lacking on the music trends in Japan. They haven't had a visual kei band in a long time. They haven't had any like fashion brands in a long time. And they claim it's because no one requests it. Like nobody puts it in the survey. It's always just anime stuff. And I think they're just not promoting the survey well, or like they're not really listening to what the fans want because they seem to think that, well, nobody's asking for it, so I guess we shouldn't book it. So that's very unfortunate in that case. And we're trying to fix their impressions of that, but that's a whole other thing. So
yeah. I don't know if a lot of fans know about the survey because like half the time people just say, oh, I wish like whatever band would come, but then they aren't aware of how to like let the convention know that they want that band to come. Like I know Otakon has like, or had discussion boards, and people, not all the attendees like have the access to the discussion board or know that the discussion board exists or that there's a board specifically to request guests on there.
the forums that nobody uses in the last
that's like the main thing. Yes, that's the main thing, that a lot of people still use forums and expect people to log into those forums and still like request on there, but they should probably get around to just using actual like surveys on like Google or something.
Yeah, but even those are hard to market and stuff. I would say the best way to get somebody to notice you is to spam their Facebook, like on the comments, like when they, after the con's over, they're like, great, thanks for a great year. That's the time to be like, hey, can you get so and so for next year? Because they're definitely going to read the comments on the Facebook pages. So I would recommend that being like the best spot to request your guests. And then ask them, like, do you have a guest request forum? Where can I submit my guest request? Some cons even have it on their website. They'll have like a thing, I don't know, and probably on their guest page, like, want to see a guest, request them here. Like, spam those. There are ways to direct your comments to each convention. So I would say do that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You know, like our I was thinking about this the other day. Our industry is kind of one of those industries where, I mean, if we wanted to, or like us, and I'm saying we, like, you know, as a fellow fan, but like if fans really wanted to, like, they could start mobilizing, you know, kind of, not to the extent that, like, you know, say like fans of K-pop do, but I look at those fan bases and it's really hard to deny the fact that they get stuff done, man.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's also because their fans are very great about sharing stuff, like, oh, so and so has a release, I'm going to share the shit out of it, and they just share it everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, they spam everywhere. So all of their feeds know that such and such artist has a new release. I would recommend doing that if there's a specific artist you're really interested in, because, you know, you have friends who like the same interests on your feed. So if you can share releases and stuff, that really helps
to turn like casual fans into hardcore fans.
Yeah, I mean, that's what worked with K-pop, and I don't see why that couldn't go back to what Visual K used to be in the same
right
vein.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, is that they are, like, if you look into it a little bit, they are sharing it, but they're doing it together, like, and in some cases, the really hardcore ones, they're coordinating together, like they're streaming and replaying and restreaming like music videos to like bump the views up, and they're hitting the poll for like best artists at the same time and stuff like that. So they're like
the videos on replay.
Yeah, they're like way like intense and way ahead about it and stuff. But I think that's the part that might be missing from the fan bases for these smaller bands. Just by definition, they're smaller bands. The fan bases are a little smaller. If fans, you know, work to reach out to each other, you know, and then kind of, you know, like form a little fan group, things like that. And then, you know, together they can start contacting, you know, these anime conventions. And I don't think it would take a ton like of simultaneous contacts for them to be like, oh, there's 30 people that just messaged us about getting LMC to come back, you know, like,
yeah, and you can also if you have a band that you really want to see, like, really start pushing them on your friends and make them also request them, because you might have like a niche interest, but it might not be so niche.
Yeah, and of course, all of this has to be taken with a grain of salt too. I would say it definitely helps to not just tell the convention you want a specific band, but also tell them you want a specific promoter to do it. A lot of the times these conventions don't have the contacts, they don't have the resources. We get contacted directly by conventions saying, how can we get such and such artist? That is exactly the case with what happened with Akon and Garnadelia. Garnadelia is an artist that I've been working with for some collaboration releases and stuff. And they said, we really want Garnadelia to come. How can we make this happen? So definitely telling the conventions that you really like a work a specific promoter does, and you know they work with a specific artist, putting them in touch definitely helps. It helps us to have the backing of the fans saying that you guys really liked our events. That really helps. I would say try that as well. And it also depends on the conventions. The reason why a con like Techo, that's not even 10,000 attendees, was able to get such a big artist like LMC is because they had the capacity to fulfill the requirements of such a heavy band. Meaning the stage was amazing, the crew was amazing. The way that they put together their staging is way better than conventions double their size. So that is something we also consider. So don't expect to contact a very tiny convention and expect them to get such a big artist. There is a lot of like stuff that needs to happen before we're able to make such an event possible. But it does help to let conventions know that you are interested in specific artists too. So just my little advice there.
Yeah, definitely. I know. I was just reading the chat. Asuka had a good idea about the on the sharing thing. Spreading these bands to React channels might be a really easy way to drum up some hype.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll plug like Mac Ryan Mac. He's a good. He loves reacting to all kinds of Japanese artists and things like that. And there's a bunch of other ones that are popping up. So
really. And then I think there's questions about anything fans can do to help a band break out of the convention scene and play US tours.
Yeah, that's probably going to be like the next big thing to jump into if we want to kind of just address it fully.
Yeah. So the main problem with the reason why we don't get bands touring the US as much as places like Europe do is because America's freaking huge. So it takes forever to get from one city to the next. And of course, that costs a lot of money. And the reason why conventions have been so good to bands is because they do cover a lot of the expenses in bringing a band out. Visas are not cheap. Visas are a lot of money thanks to certain administrations. So it's definitely not cheap to bring a band out in the first place. And doing a tour is very, very pricey. But that being said, of course, making noise and supporting the artists when they do come out here for a convention. A lot of the times it is their first experience in the United States coming to a con. They've never done it before. So knowing that there was such a good response for them, it does help influence them to think about coming over for the future. But it is very, very expensive. So I mean, I applaud anybody who tries to tour here because you definitely don't make money doing it. America's too big and it costs so much to move around. So artists that do tour out here, as far as I know, a lot of them don't really make a lot of money unless they're big like Baby Metal or something.
Oh, okay.
It costs a lot to rent the bus and then drive around, and then you have to have the driver and just
right.
So expensive.
Is there ever any chance of maybe like a more localized tour, like on one coast of the States, for example?
Yeah, it's a lot more easier to pull off, but a lot of the times it's money is the issue. A lot of these bands don't have money to tour like that in America. They can tour around Japan as much as they want, but without having, the experience out in the US, it's really difficult for them to make the financial, decision to do so. And that's something we definitely want to explore more in the future is doing the tours, but it is hard. And then there's also the issue of the venues in the US not being quite the same. The biggest complaint we get from our artists is that lighting at concert venues are not like Japan. Like Japanese venues have this amazing lighting rig, and then you come out here and it's like a little bar with a hole, and then the lights are really boring and it doesn't look half as cool.
Yeah.
I think that the lighting at I want to say lighting like that really depends on who the set designer is. Then because I remember at a Techo I met someone who was actually a light choreographer and set designer, and he explained to me it depends on who's in charge of the project to really make a show look amazing when you walk into a room. And some people don't have the same dedication to actually making the set look good, because a lot of times some conventions just hire whoever or say, hey, you know how to set up a thing, and then it could be the sound guy who had to set up the lighting and they didn't make it look good. When I saw LMC, I was like, dang, that's this is just awesome, because the guy was yeah, I had a vision and I made it happen however I could make it happen. So yeah, I think just a lot of times it's about who's in there to really make it look good.
Yeah, but these smaller venues you go to, the 200, 300 capacity, they're not going to have...
Right.
Because I know what the expectation is in Japan already, it's not the same. And then, that's sometimes a disappointment for the artists when they come out here, and just it's not the same as what they expect. And so that quality difference makes a huge impact. And then also the lack of really good venues out here in America is difficult to make stuff happen as well. They're expensive and they're just not as nice, or they just don't fit what we need. So
yeah, well, I mean, you think about the average U.S. band that would be playing a venue that small is like, it's like some guys in jorts and, you know, you know, maybe they're like a metal band. And so everyone's just going there to mosh. Like there's no, I don't see a big visual aesthetic in a lot of local scenes, you know, local rock scenes and stuff anymore. So yeah, it's a completely different set of priorities. I mean, well, primarily just a lack of priorities on, I would say, presentation in general. As long as the music gets out of the speakers, you know.
Right.
Yeah, so that's definitely a problem. I can imagine some of that would be like a little bit of an easier pill to swallow if there were scenes in the areas where these venues are, where there was like a lot of attention and a lot of interest for, you know, for these bands to come to. And I know that's kind of something that we've talked. I've talked about on past streams, like the one I did with Shola Aurora, about local artists like here in the States that are inspired by J-Rock and Visual K, kind of trying to do like build local scenes around that kind of music, so there's more support. But yeah, it definitely seems like a bit more of a long-term project. That's for sure.
That's something we are looking to build up in the future, is bringing bands out here to tour. You know, lack of proper promoters is another big reason. A lot of these guys are scared to invest thousands of dollars in coming to tour in America, and they're not even sure they're going to sell anything. So, you know, it's a huge difference. And bands like Vamps that can tour so much, I mean, they have the money to do it, so they make it look really easy, but it's really not.
Yeah. Is it easier to, how do I ask this? So like, how easy is it, like, compared to anime conventions, which seems like the most doable thing right now, and touring, which seems like very difficult? Where do like general music festivals fall into that? Like getting a band to show up to one of those?
To like Rock on the Range and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are pretty difficult too. You just have to know the organizers and get the right, you know, pitch in there. And for a lot of them, they're just not interested in Japanese artists. Bands like Vamps are able to go in there because of massive connections with, you know, a bunch of famous people. So that really helps. But another thing we're looking on expanding into in the future as well is music festivals, because everyone wants to play music festival. A lot of these bands I talk to, they're like, we want to play music festivals. How can we get in? And I'm like, yeah, it's another uphill battle, but we're working on it, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so then I guess for music festivals and for touring, is it still too much of a long-term thing? Like can fans still help in the same way as they could help with bringing bands to anime conventions, or is it not even at that point yet where
I mean, I wouldn't say why not. I would say go ahead and try it. Like, tell these festivals you really want them to come out, and which bands specifically. You know, some of the ones that did bring over J-Rock artists in the past are no longer around. So it's kind of like you have to forge those connections with those other music festivals going on right now and tell them you want Japanese bands other than X Japan to show up. And I mean, social media is a big thing.
Yeah,
social media
sure.
makes anything possible.
Are you X Japan's playing at Coachella tonight? Are you hoping that they might make your job easier in that aspect? You know, like
I don't think X Japan would make anyone's job easier.
Well, you know, like if they put on a good show, if they put on a good show and it's like this band from Japan.
Well, Jeff, I think they're at the wrong festival to hope that the you know,
just got a point,
or good impression of Japanese rock bands, because you said it yourself like earlier today that like all the new artists that were there sounded like hippies that are trying something new or something like that, and then you have this power metal band from Japan come in and just shock everyone awake. Like, so I don't know if that's
Right,
With
but I would say that's because, well, I would say the correct opinion or perspective to take on that is not that X Japan does not belong at Coachella. It's all those other bands do not belong at Coachella. So
everyone else doesn't deserve to be there.
Like outside of X Japan, the only other band artist that I would say that belongs at Coachella that's on that set list from what I've been watching is Greta Van Fleet, which is like the millennial reincarnation of the Rolling Stones.
So you're trying to turn Coachella into a rock festival when all this time it's been a hey, get tranced out festival.
No, it's been it started as a do drugs and do rock festival a bit.
It became do drugs and do you festival.
With cultural appropriation.
With cultural appropriation. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. The Rolling Stones guy was wearing Native American stuff.
Yeah, he was.
So
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the reaction is. I have some friends out there working with them, so I'm gonna get some insider info later and how everything went. But
sweet gossip.
Same time slot as Beyonce, man. I don't know.
Oh no, is it? It's not.
Beyonce, is it? No one's gonna beat it. What was it like when you, Jeff, when you went to cover Crossfaith or was it Cold Rain? Because I remember when you sent you to Vans Warped Tour and you went to cover Crossfaith. Somebody else was up, or it was like early in the morning.
Oh,
Crossfaith it was a really early show. And
like,
yo, they're killing it, but no one's here because it's like 10 a.m.
Yeah, it was 10 a.m. Like they literally hadn't like people were still filing in, and
they it was an unfortunate event. And with X Japan, it's like, okay, cool, you can headline this stage, but you're up against Beyonce.
Beyonce.
We'll see.
To see the turnout for them versus Beyonce.
I mean, they have 3 stages for a reason. There are people that hate Beyonce. Just so you know.
I don't understand it.
He thinks Beyonce can't sing, is what my dad doesn't think Beyonce can sing.
I know we're all kind of mixed into like every genre imaginable because of Visual K and J Rock, and we kind of listen to everything. But I would like to remind everyone that there are rock fans that hate pop.
You're right, but we should also remind everyone that Coachella became a pop music festival. So
yeah,
good luck, X Japan.
Good luck. No, well, I wish them the best. I hope it does make some noise, and at least people
will make noise. It's about people listen to the noise. It'll be good noise.
Well, people are really excited, so I hope everything goes well. But I do hope that it does pave the way a little bit in the future, that Japanese artists will have more of a platform for these international events.
Yeah, that would be that's kind of all I'm hoping to see out of it is if somebody if they really make an impression. Like, they're letting them do holograms, so it's not nothing. It's like, so they're just they're shelved on stage 3 while Beyonce's playing because it's pop. You do the pop. It's pop music. It's popular music. So
yes, but
maybe they'll hit a niche. But did you have anything else? Any other suggestions for maybe anything that would like help you specifically as a promoter? Like,
I mean, like going back to supporting bands and getting them to come out, like I would say give us feedback as promoters, like what did you like, what didn't you like. Obviously this was the first time LMC got to do something like a banner raffle at one of our shows, and it went off really well. We had a lot of people turn up, and we managed to get some extra prizes from the band and everything. So the turnout for that was really great, and it was nice for the band to be able to interact with their fans on a little bit more of an intimate setting at our merchandise booth. So, I mean, if you like these types of events, if you have any suggestions as a fan, maybe you try doing this in the future. That really does help us, and we do listen to what fans are requesting when it comes to, especially the artists we bring out here in America.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And guys, Fake Stars Facebook link is in our description if you want to follow them. Rhubob's very active on there and listening.
Always on that. And share everything. Share as much as possible, but don't share illegal stuff. Like, don't. This is happening a lot. These fan accounts that pop up and they're uploading music videos illegally to Facebook and sharing them across like a gajillion Facebook groups. Please don't do that. Please don't support those. Like, actually share the actual YouTube that the band actually uploaded. That is way more beneficial than supporting some videos that somebody uploaded just to get views.
It's also important that the band get those views, so that like when you request that artist and the con or whoever looks into it, they're like, oh hey, like this artist is actually popping because they have like 2 million views on their video. But then you see like an illegal upload for something and it has like 1 million views, and you're like, dang, like I wish that were on an official video instead, because then your artist could probably actually come over to where you are if they had the right support.
I know it's hard when they don't always have the official channels as well, but don't support a bad thing. It doesn't help anybody.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I think on this stream, or on these streams and on this on our podcast, I think I've said a few times, that it's like, it's really important to make, for Japanese, labels and artists to make their music more available, so that, because that helps combat that pirate, that illegal uploading and getting you the views, because if you don't, someone else will. But I think this is a really good time to point out that you can't have it both ways as a fan, in that like you can't. I don't see it as like a justifiable position to like share around or upload illegally, unofficially, illegally uploaded videos, and then be really bummed when a band never comes to the States because they don't have enough buzz. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit more about like specifically how that hurts the band? Because I don't know if people actually realize, like, outside of we didn't get the views, like.
Well, the thing is who in the end is actually benefiting off of those views? It's that person that illegally uploaded the video and is doing it for the buzz, and they're the ones that are getting the monetizing off of those views and everything. And if you're just sharing that, you're just contributing to that. I've had to like file claims on certain artists, certain like fan pages who were uploading some of our clients, and it was literally taking away views that the artist should have gotten on their YouTube. And those views are really important because, like I said, when we consider bringing out artists to, the United States, when conventions look at artists coming out that we are recommending and they don't have these YouTube views, it doesn't really help them think like they end up thinking like, oh, I guess they're not popular. So that's one of the ways it directly does hurt them, I would say.
Yeah, that's I'm glad we covered that. I definitely just wanted to put a little cross that T.
Yeah, I mean, and then again, it's like, harass the artist, tell them you want them to have an official page for this, and you will support it. And I think it does help. A lot of fans brought up with LMC, like, why can't I view your videos in YouTube? And that's something that we've been consulting with them about. And hopefully, like, as their contract changes in the future, they will reconsider that and revisit it. And, it does have an impact.
Awesome. Okay, great.
There's some nice comments. Someone saying, do we have an Instagram page? Not yet. I'm still working on that. I gotta make one, but I would feel bad making one and not updating as much as we can. So, but I'll get on that soon, hopefully.
I think how you could update the Facebook fake star Instagram page is get your marketing person to take those photos and then get management to approve them right on the spot to go right onto Instagram.
Yeah, it's so hard.
Bada bing, bada boom.
So busy at shows, so busy. A bajillion things, but I'm trying. We're gonna get on that.
Yeah, we need to clone like at least 5 Rebobs, in order for you to have a more manageable workload.
I need clones.
Needs more of her.
Yeah,
I need more of me. There's not enough me to go around.
She needs her as an assistant.
I need more assistants.
You need her assistant.
Yeah, is there anyone, if there's any fan that wants to be an intern for you, kid, is there a way for them to reach
If they're
out?
qualified,
Yeah,
you know.
we have an intern at the moment, but when this semester ends,
It's over.
yes. Well, I don't know if you want to work for me. I'm kind of crazy.
I'll work for you, Bob. I do work for you.
Awesome. Well, let's see.
What else? I made some notes and I'm thinking like, yeah. Oh, I wanted to talk about street teams, if that's okay.
Ooh,
Yes,
sweet teams.
yeah,
That's
that
a
would be
great
good.
idea.
Yeah, like I know there's quite a few like street team fan pages on Facebook. I don't know what would you call those? Like
They are street teams. It's like, but they're delegated to like continents, and some of them are actually delegated to the countries.
yeah, or by language.
There used to be some official ones for some bands. I don't know what happened to them.
Yeah, so I mean, those are really great for getting out information. If you really like a band, contribute to whatever street team there is for that band. There's a lot of those fan organized ones out there, and if you want official information as soon as possible, sometimes it's easy for us as a promoter to build that relationship with these street teams to get that information out really quickly. So, feel free to reach out to promoters when it comes to bands that you like and you're working on a street team with. I know back in the day, I felt like street teams used to be only for bands that were on tour and stuff, but it can also apply to bands coming out to cons here and everything. So keep those active if you can, stay involved and, just really support those street teams, because I think that's going to be the first notification that a lot of fans will get and be able to read in their own language. So yeah, street teams are nice. I love street teams. I think they're great.
What I know about the street teams here are that like the people who take part in them, like especially when I was in high school, I know a lot of people who were in street teams. They like literally just gave people like stickers and stuff, and were like, "Hey, man, this band, you don't know them, but you should check them out," and then just give you a flyer like out of nowhere. So if street teams could become like that kind of thing, where for like J-rock bands where you literally just pull people into them, like unsolicited flyers just given to them like that, I think that would be fine. That would be great.
You think so? I would be scared if somebody did that.
That would be dope to see, like at an anime convention or something.
Yeah,
just like a bunch of people doing that.
A bunch of fans saying, "Hey, man, like I think you'd be really into this band," and just give them stickers.
Oh, right. Or like, "Are you free tonight? Come to this concert."
Hey, I got some dope music. You want?
Oh my God. I'm just so used to those like creepy dudes that try to sell you their hip hop CDs outside of.
Oh, yo, my mixtape is fire.
Or strip club promoters in Vegas, if you've ever been. Like they're just like right out there and just handing them all out. Like, yeah. There's usually a certain creepy. Well, it's like it's like a what are you selling? What are you trying to get from me? Kind of vibe that you kind of end up with. But I don't think it hurts at like a convention where everybody is there to sell you cool stuff and you're probably there to buy cool stuff. So I mean,
if the con's okay with it, you have to follow convention policies. So
this is true.
Throwing that out there.
I think I should really bring this up that I know a lot of people want CDs, but also people need to try and promote the fact that bands are available on Spotify. Because like at LMC, a lot of people asked for CDs, and I just kept telling them, guys, they're on Spotify and iTunes.
Yes,
kind of.
We really tried to get CDs. It was not possible this time, but next time I'm gonna get you guys those CDs because I know.
Yeah. I mentioned that a lot of people in the chat with LMC in the name, and I'm like, yeah, I feel you guys. I know what you're thinking.
Yeah. A lot of people are asking about our internship. Oh man.
Oh man. Here we go.
When it's open, I may or may not put up information about applying for the internship. Right now, we're good until the summer, so
get your resumes ready.
Yeah, our street team's official. Yes, if they're made by the band.
You should. I think it would be really great if like all the bands hooked up with some of the street teams. I don't know.
Yeah, Kareen says she kind of, going back to what Oscar was saying about React videos, that's kind of like the better version of like street team flyers, or like the modern day version.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, street teams. I mean, there's a ton for South America. I see those everywhere, just fans making their own fan pages and promoting stuff in their own language, which is awesome. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah. Shout out to our South America viewers. We love you guys. You guys are so supportive. So
give us all the things, all the love.
Yeah, those guys love J-Rock and Visual K. So
they've shown it through so many views.
so much.
So many clicks.
So much.
So much.
We owe you guys so many favors. So
many clicks.
Yeah, I've made a point of replying to some comments in Spanish just because like we get certain ones we just get so many like supportive responses from them. But
I'm going to Mexico with Kaya for Mexican convention, which is like I'm super excited about because I love Mexican food.
Oh wow.
No, but also I'm really excited to see the fan base in Mexico and see how everything is out there. It's going to be my first time doing a show there, so I'm really excited.
Oh, that's awesome. Is there
Spanish? Just food.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna need a translator.
I have one. I have like 2 translators, but it's different like actually speaking the language yourself, and yeah,
it is. So
yeah. Is there a press release out for that? Because like literally the country that follows us the most besides the US is Mexico. So
yeah, I think we put one out when we announced the show.
Did we make a
in
post?
Spanish?
Oh, you put one out in Spanish.
Yeah, because it's Mexico.
I could do an English-Spanish post for it.
Yeah.
Yes, you could, Jeff, and then let me know, and I'll code it up so that it can be clickable in English and in Spanish.
Okay, good. This is all right.
This is our plan.
Yeah.
I do all the design that makes things look super pro, and Jeff does the product.
Looks good though. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what other ways would be good to impact people besides React videos and street teams, other than harassing people on Twitter, which is also a great way.
Yeah, I really just see like more of a need for like just like fans to like reach out and like kind of make more communities and stuff. Maybe like if we can kind of, because I think there's a few significant Visual K groups and Visual K band groups on like Amino. I don't know if that app died or not, but
what's that?
It's a app for fan groups. Yeah,
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it's pretty
not
new.
Like Discord though. Discord's something else, right?
No, yeah. Discord is has more of a general utility. It's like better Skype and for gamers and other people. But Amino is specifically like fan groups, and they have pages and stuff like that. So I'll look into it and see if it was very active a few months ago, but I lost track of it.
I think I heard about what you're talking about, so I understand.
Yeah, so
that sounds cool. In my day, there was forums like Batsu, and that was my jam back in the day. I wish there was something new like that. So that sounds really exciting, actually.
Well, we really lost like these last 10 years. We really lost the network part of the social networking. Like it got very, I don't know. It got very like self-serving. That sounds a little moralistic to say it like that, but what I mean is it's like the literal, like Instagram is like a one-to-many kind of a thing. Like it's like I'm posting pictures of me, you either follow it and you're interested in me, or you're not interested, but you don't really talk to that person. And then Facebook is Facebook, but it's like it's like we're friends, but we're not friends. Or we're friends on Facebook, but we barely interact because there's a billion of us on there, and our newsfeed is like constantly being spammed with stuff, and like so there's no real and there's groups, but like every like half the groups I joined, they end up dying in a month, and then everyone's just on private little message groups. Closest thing I've seen is Discord, I guess, is the one where, but usually that's more for a specific purpose. But yeah, the social aspect of social media is greatly diminished, is kind of how Asuka said it in the chat. But yeah, so hopefully we can bring that back, because people are getting sick of it.
I remember chat rooms were a huge deal too back in my day.
Yeah. Well, like MySpace and Zanga and like stuff like that was like much easier to like.
Well, I mean, for fans, because before VKH was VKH Press, we were Visual K Heaven and had like our chat room, and then like some other sites had like their little chat rooms, and those chat rooms were always like super lit because a bunch of people would just like go on to the site just to talk in the chat rooms. And now those are gone. So
I'll just float this out there for anybody watching. If you look into like alternatives for Facebook and Twitter, especially Facebook, there's a few out there that people are starting to go to that are a little bit more communal, it seems like. So I'm gonna look into it a little bit more. But if we ever get on one, we'll definitely announce it and promote it, and kind of see what we can do with it to kind of drum up more interaction than what like something like Facebook allows or Instagram.
People are mentioning Gaia Online.
Oh yeah, Gaia Online. Throwback.
Monochrome Heaven is pretty much dead. Yep.
Yeah.
Damn. I mean,
I don't even know why it's still
no comment.
Yeah, no comment.
Needs to be
no comment.
A new place to talk about Visual K.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
you know where you can talk about where a great place for you guys to come and talk about Visual K is the Facebook group you run.
Oh yeah,
that we're admins on.
We have a Facebook group. It's kind of just starting out. It's called Visual K and J Rock Party because it's a party all the time. You can post stuff in there, make some friends. It's still in the starting phases, but we hope to get some more content up there. And yeah, it's tied to our Fakestar USA Facebook page, so you can find it there. How many? I don't even know how many members are we at. I feel like
39 or something.
No, we're at 65.
Oh, hey,
there you go. Don't pay attention to me.
Yeah,
we just started it, and it's still a really small thing. But I know there's a few Visual K Facebook groups floating around there. But ours is going to be a little bit more official focused, if I can say that.
Yeah, that's going to be like that's what I think the most interesting part of it is that like. Oh, sorry, the live stream just started playing in the other tab for some reason, distracting me. But that would be the main selling point, is that it's run by industry people like yourself, and then we're in there as admins. I think. Winona, are you in there?
I'm not an admin, but I'm in there.
I'm an admin.
Sorry, just didn't make the cut this time around.
Damn.
So it's more likely, without promising anything, but it's more likely that more official stuff would happen, if the group got big enough, because the people running it are going to make sure it's artist friendly. So, you can't post illegally uploaded
stuff. You can't shit post, basically.
You don't, you stuff like that. So it's going to be a place where if an artist wanted to go there, they could go there.
It's a safe space.
so yeah, but yeah, definitely check it out. I just pasted it in the chat. I'll put it in the description too. But so we're coming up on an hour. Do you have anything else that you can think of, Bob, or do you want to go ahead and wrap up?
I mean, yeah, I think that's good. I'm heading back to Tokyo again on Monday to take care of some business. Gonna have some follow-up meetings about the cons we just did, especially and leading into our new conventions. We have ASEN coming up, which we just announced Fauna for that. That's an anime band, if you guys aren't familiar. We're going a little bit more Anna song for the next couple shows, so Fonda's an amazing band. Check them out. Akon we have coming up, bringing out Garnadelia, which I'm so excited about. Freaking love Garnadelia. It's just been so great. And might I add, like, for you VK fans, like Toku from Garnadelia worked on like my all-time favorite Deer and Grey albums. He's amazing. Like, just I'm so excited about Akon, you guys, and so definitely check out Garnadelia if you haven't heard of them. They're awesome, and we're just so excited for Akon and ASEN. And then we got some more announcements like this summer, doing some cool stuff and skiing in, but those are upcoming 2 cons, so it's going to be busy, very busy. We're very excited.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely follow Fake Star on Facebook if you have any suggestions, or it would just now would be a good time to put that into practice, like messaging Rhubarb with any requests you have, but more importantly, messaging the venues that you would want to see specific artists at. We can all try and get a little bit more in the habit of that. I think that'll definitely be great. Asuka says the link to the Facebook group is unavailable. Okay, this is definitely a YouTube live chat problem, because I've seen it like multiple times on multiple people's streams. So I will just put it in the description right after we end the stream. But okay, great. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for joining us, Bob.
Yes, and we will definitely bring back Kara. We'll definitely bring back LMC. Like, thanks for your support. People are like posting in the chat. So, but yes, we love them. We love them.
Yes, definitely. So we will catch you guys next time. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.